Hi, my name is LaDonna White, and in my communications class, I was posed the question, what magazines do I read, and who do I think their targeted audience are? So for me personally, I no longer reach for a print magazine because it's way easier to get information online. For example, I can simply go to Instagram and follow pages such as The Shade Room and TMZ, and they give me all the gossip from things such as celebrity news to the government shutdown and anything in between. But any information that I don't get from the Shade Room or TMZ or any Instagram tabloid page I can find, I can easily look into Google if I'm curious. So for me, it was never a reason for me to reach for a print magazine. Also, what factored in is the print magazines are also later in the news development because they have to print it. Then when I go to TMZ, which is immediate updates. So, for my experiment, I looked at People, Cosmopolitan, and Vanity Fair to see what I thought their targeted audience were and what they actually were, looking at their 2018 media kit. Now, what I found was very interesting because not every media kit is the same. So, for example, People's media kit included way more in-depth information versus Vanity Fair's that simply said how much they spent and who their audience were. Now, for my guesses, I included their availability to read, which means me as a freshman college student, I don't have the same time as a single mother to read magazines, or she doesn't have the same amount of time as I do. So once I factor these things in, I also included topics that are specifically geared to certain audiences. So for example, that single mom who may not have the same funds as me to buy a magazine, she can go and pick up a magazine and it could be an audience on baby diapers that she's interested in, and I would never be interested in it. So, when I looked up People, I guessed that their target audience was 18 to 30-year-old men and women. When I guessed for Cosmopolitan, I guessed that it would be 18 to 20-year-old men and women. And when I guessed the Vanity Fair, I assumed it would be 28 to 34-year-old females. Now, once I looked up each year's media kit, I determined that People had the most in-depth media kit. They included things such as whether they went to college, whether they owned homes, whether they were married, and their age and year. So what I found was for People magazine, their audience was 18 to 49-year-old men and women, majority baby boomers who graduated college and owned their own homes. For Cosmopolitan, it was a little less in-depth, but I could conclude that it was 18 to 49-year-olds. They included their salaries, their education status, whether they went to school for arts or all sorts of things, and that they mostly geared their audience to, most of their audience was females. Vanity Fair had a lot less information than Cosmopolitan and People, but what they did include was that most of their audience was millennials and the amount of money that they put into making their magazine. Now, these findings were interesting to me because it was a lot different than what I expected personally. I thought most magazines would be geared towards people my age because we would want to know about gossip, we want to know about health, and all those things. But it was a wider range. And for me personally, I was interested to find out that they look at things such as whether I graduated college, whether I'm in college, what things interest me. So for a target audience, it's really more than factors of, well, who has time to read it and the topics they include. They make it so that it's almost irresistible for us to not pick up a magazine. But it still poses the question, will magazines survive the internet?